So his whole life was a 1,000,000-to-1 shot. It's the story of my life. I'm going to tell you all an unlikely story. I left my mother when I was a kid. My mother had a collection of problems and absenteeism. She couldn't take care of herself, let alone anyone else. But I didn't leave from the abuse, like the time when I called the police on her after she kicked me in the face and busted my nose open. Yet, I didn't have the heart to open the door when the police came and knocked at the door, and instead pretended with her that we weren't home. I didn't leave her the time she spat in my face, or the homelessness, the evictions, or begging for money and food. I would leave her because she stole from me. Food, a can of tuna. In the end, when it came down to it, I left my mother over a can of tuna. So after that, I felt like I could do better on my own. In fact, I never really felt like I had a mother, so leaving her actually turned out to be the best thing for me. I never knew my father. He left when I was a baby and later died from a drug overdose. So I lost my parents to drug addiction and mental illness. But all of this would propel me forward, upward, out of this familiar world with her and these afflictions. And I would embark on a journey. Big breath. On this journey, this road less traveled, I would get knocked down to my knees more times than I can count, yet would get back up and keep moving forward. Thanks to a great role model. My dad, Rocky. I met him one day when he came on TV. And I sat there and I watched it and I was just so inspired that I wanted to go out and fight, like right then and there, go out and fight people, but I didn't. So instead, I watched him on TV all week, because it was on TV all week on a loop, because the newest Rocky was coming out soon, you know, promos and such. Shout out, Stallone, you're a genius. So I watched Rocky every day that week. It came on, I didn't move. I just watched and learned. And what I didn't know, what I wouldn't realize until over a decade later, was the impact that this man, this hero, and his story would have on me and my life. So I took all of the Rocky-isms, the walk, talk, mannerisms. You may see a hint of that still to this very day. I took also his ethics, his morality, getting back up and not giving up. So Rocky gave me an identity. But I was constantly frustrated with the way people saw me, that why was it if I could see all of these positive and admirable traits in Rocky, why couldn't people see that in me? Rocky didn't have parents, but overcame that obstacle. Rocky was blue collar, yet knew he was destined for more and achieved it. Rocky was self-made. Rocky is all heart instead of all brawn and no brains. Rocky was the hero of his own journey. So I didn't understand. But Rocky was my hero, my role model, and I had to believe that he gave me these tools and this map to be successful on my journey. But how? How though? How could I use these tools from Rocky to overcome the obstacles in my circumstances of growing up in Long Beach and Compton in the 90s during the LA riots as a white boy in a black neighborhood with no parental guidance? A mountain to overcome, indeed. So, Rocky taught me loyalty and never forgetting where you come from. Meet Carl. Carl is my best good friend. He's like my brother. He's my family. We met when we were 11 years old, and without his help, I never would have survived my youth. Carl would teach me the value in real life, the real meaning, the true meaning of loyalty, never abandoning a friend. Carl would hide me in his closet, not literally, hide me in his closet when I needed a place to sleep and didn't want to go home, and later when I didn't have a place to stay. Carl would also teach me how to fight. So I got beat up a lot, surprise. In fact, I got beat up all the time. I remember this one time, this kid punched me square in the nose and busted my nose again and was dubbed Bloody Mary. So Carl would teach me how to fight in the alley behind where he lived, and we'd fight and wrestle and throw each other to the floor, and the loser might have had his face pushed into dog poop. But Carl taught me how to fight, and Rocky taught me how to get back up. He said, it ain't about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. Rocky also said, he said to Adrian once, you know, my mother told me I wasn't born with much of a brain, so I better develop my body, which I did. I built myself up like Rocky taught me. I got buff. But I also learned in that Rocky valued education, that it was really important, and he knew that when he saw Adrian. But I didn't know how to read. I was essentially functionally illiterate when I left high school, 1.2 GPAs, if memory serves. You know, it was kind of a miracle, though. Not proud of it, but, you know, kind of a miracle I made it that far. So, meet Karen. Karen was my first college instructor at Long Beach City College. She was the hardest teacher I've ever had to this day. She's brilliant. She went to Yale, double PhD program, double master's in sociology and African American studies. She's the smartest person I would ever know, and a constant cheerleader. A Laker girl. No, seriously, she's a real live Laker girl. Shout out Laker girls. With a heart of gold. And in her class, she would teach me how to write a sentence, a paragraph, and a paper properly. But I worked my hardest. I would go to the Reading and Writing Center every single day. And I ended up earning a B- in her class, the highest grade I gotten in a class since I could remember. But that wasn't enough. I wanted to see how far I could take it, you know? My whole life, I've just been trying to see how far I could take this. And I learned that from my dad, Rocky, when he said, oh, come on, Adrian, it's true. I was nobody. But that don't matter either, you know, because I was thinking, it really don't matter if I lose this fight. It really don't matter if this guy opens my head up either, because all I want to do is go the distance. Nobody's ever gone the distance with Creed, and if I can go that distance, you see, and that bell rings and I'm still standing, I'm going to know for the first time in my life, see, that I weren't just another bum from the neighborhood. With Karen's help, I learned how to go the distance, and wasn't just another bum from the neighborhood. Then I met my trainer, my coach. Meet Mel. Mel is the eternal coach to so many people. Mel kicked my butt and trained me up, but not in boxing, in acting and teaching. But Mel is Mickey. I mean, short of Burgess Meredith, he is Mickey. I knew Mel was Mickey ever since we met, and then, I don't know, one day we just became friends. But Mickey taught Rocky how to direct his punches, how to direct his energy, to make an impact. But more than that, Mickey looked out for Rocky, guiding him along, traversing this knife's edge throughout his journey where he could fall either way. And that's what Mel has done for me. He's the sage. I mean, he wouldn't say so, but he is. So this is a story of survival. Survival of poverty, race, education, finding my identity, and then some. And like every hero's journey, it's a story about resurrection and love. Love costs. It costs you something if you're doing it right. It costs you something deep down inside if you're doing it right. And every one of these people, every single one of them, have paid a price and spent something deep inside by just knowing me. So as you can see, folks, we don't get there alone. We, all of us, always need allies. I mean, Rocky had allies like every hero. Rocky had Paulie, Mickey, and Adrian. I had Carl, Karen, Mel, and my probation officer. Yep. Last time I saw Alvin Bernstein. All right, so it's the holidays, Christmas time. I'm in a Trader Joe's in Long Beach with a good friend. I see Alvin Bernstein, my probation officer when I was a kid. She doesn't know who he is, of course, but I turned 12 years old again like that. And I hide from him in the Trader Joe's. I mean, I couldn't go up to him. I froze. She says, why? I say, because that's Alvin Bernstein. Lower your voice. I mean, he was formidable, not to be trifled with, and a great guy. So after some encouragement, and see I'm going to miss my opportunity, I go up to him. Excuse me, are you Alvin Bernstein? Yeah, who wants to know? I said, no, it's not like that. I remind him who I am. My name is Jeremiah O'Brien. You may not remember me, but you were my probation officer when I was a kid. You introduced me to Lisa Gamboa, a saint. He remembers. Oh yeah, I can see it in the eyes. I totally thought he was BSing me for a minute. I say to him, well, I just want to tell you how much of a difference you made in my life. You kept me out of trouble during a critical time, and I want to let you know that I just got my master's degree from UCLA, and I'm going to New York to work on my next degree. And in a moment, that moment between guys, well, some guys anyways, where you don't show any real emotion, but you can't hide that, that tear that's starting to form in your eye. He says, "You made my day. Look me up when you get back." And we part. That was a 20-year journey for us both. And I knew in that moment I became what Rocky taught me, that every once in a while a person comes along and defies the odds, defies logic, and fulfills an incredible dream. So everyone needs a hero, folks. Every one of us to show us the tools, skills, and give us the map for our journey. So whoever you are, find your hero, find your Rocky. I don't care if it's in person or a film, one or many, it doesn't matter. It just matters that you have a hero that you identify with and who inspires you to something more. And then become your own hero. Next time, I'll tell you how I became a college professor.